And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, we're going to get right in between your ears. We're going to focus on your brain cells. We're going to talk about your mindset. Your mindset, when it comes to investing, may not be where it's supposed to be. Did you know that? You may be struggling with things that most investors don't struggle with, and you don't even know you're struggling with these problems, but it has to do with your actual mindset. And it has to do with how you view things around you, how you view assets, how you view money, how you view, well, essentially your life. There's a big difference between two contrasting approaches to viewing and experiencing the world. You want to know what they are? They're the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. Yes, scarcity versus abundance. Which do you have? I'm guessing you've got the scarcity mentality. I bet you do. Now, I have the abundance mentality. I believe that there's an abundance of everything to go around for everybody. But ironically, in most of society, and I will raise my hand and say, I used to think this way. I used to think that there was a scarcity of everything. I used to think that, for instance, fuel. There was a scarcity of fuel. There's only so much oil in the ground, right? There's a finite source, and eventually it's going to run out. So that's the concept of scarcity, right? The fact that there's just not enough for everybody, and it won't last forever. But then you take a look at the abundance mentality, and you go, well, wait a minute, dude. I don't seem to have a problem going to the gas station and filling up my gas tank. As a matter of fact, fuel prices, even though they've gone up a bit, they haven't gone up like crazy high. There must still be a supply of oil going on. I see all of these oil tankers in the Gulf of Mexico. I see them come into Port Aransas. I see them leave Port Aransas. I see them go into the Houston area. So oil is flowing throughout this world, and there seems to be an abundance of it. So who's right? Who's right? Well, it really boils down to your mindset. It really boils down to your mindset. That's the bottom line. So why don't we talk about that? Let's talk about your mindset. The scarcity mentality operates from the mindset of a lack and of fear. What does that mean? A mindset of lack and fear. Wow, that's a lot to take in. A mindset of lack and fear. It's characterized by the beliefs that resources, opportunities, and successes are limited, and there is just not enough to go around for everybody. Now, when it comes to the concept of abundance mentality, that mindset is rooted in a belief that there's enough for everyone. Period. End of story. Enough for everybody. It focuses on the possibilities, it focuses on gratitude, and it focuses on an optimistic look on life. Yeah, an optimistic outlook on life. Isn't that a better way to approach life? Optimistic as opposed to the other way? Limited? Okay. What about the perspective on resources? Well, if you have a scarcity mentality, you think that all resources are finite and limited. Kind of like my oil example, right? You tend to hoard or guard your resources, and you fear that they're going to run out. Do you do that? Do you hoard things in your house? Do you fear that maybe when you go to the grocery store, it won't be on the shelf? I mean, we kind of went through that, didn't we? We went through that during the pandemic. There was some supply chain issues and things were missing from the grocery store shelves. You remember that, right? So when that happened, did you hoard? Did you go, oh, because it happened to me. It did. The dog food that I used for my dogs, it was out. I couldn't find it anywhere. It was gone. So I found one bag, a small bag. It was like really, really expensive because I bought it at my grocery store. I never buy my dog food at my grocery store because I always get a better deal at the Costco store, right? Okay, so I'm just telling you what I do. And I'm not saying you got to have a Costco membership to listen to the show. It's got nothing to do with it. The point is, everybody ran out of the dog food. So when the dog food finally came back into the Costco, instead of buying one bag, I actually bought two. I bought two because I wasn't sure if I came back next time it would be on the shelves. I wanted to make sure that I didn't run out. So abundance thinkers see resources as abundant, and they believe the potential for growth and expansion. They're open to sharing, and they're open to collaboration. Now, let's take a step back. Open to sharing and collaboration. What does that sound like to you? Now, if you've listened to this radio show to any extent, I'm not just talking about today's radio show. I'm talking about going to lifestylesunlimited.com and checking out all the radio shows that we produce, because there's an abundance of information there. And the key thing that I want to point out is that at Lifestyles Unlimited, we are open to sharing and collaboration. That's one of the things that makes us very unique in the real estate investing world as a organization that has members that are all actively engaged in the business of investing in real estate assets. We share information, we collaborate with each other, and this is very important because this is how not only do we learn, but we gain real-time information about what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on with residents, what's going on with everything. The point I'm trying to make is that when you have a middle-class mindset, you see the world a certain way. You see the world with a scarcity mentality. I'm sorry to tell you, but most people that have a middle-class mindset have a scarcity mentality. They've been conditioned to think that way. What I'm trying to get you to understand is I want you to expand your mindset. I want you to expand your thinking horizons. I want you to migrate away from being a middle-class thinker to a millionaire thinker. It's not that hard to do, but it's going to take a little bit of effort on your part. It's going to take a little work, and it's going to take a desire to get there. The other thing that you need is you need information. You need a different flow of information coming into your mind. This new flow of information will help change how you view the world, how you view everything, how you experience the world. Yeah. How about that? All right, so let's talk about the concept of competition. And ironically, I can't talk about the concept of competition when we talk about the abundance mentality, because I told you at the end of the last segment that the abundance mentality really causes people to be open to sharing and collaboration, not necessarily to compete with each other, but to collaborate with each other. Does that make sense? All right, well, let me give you some deeper thoughts here. Ready? So if you're looking at the world from a scarcity mentality, you view life as a zero-sum game. You do, a zero-sum game. When someone else's gain is your loss. Yeah, that's the way you look at it. That guy did well, therefore I didn't do as well. You often feel like you have a need to compete and compare yourself to others. It's almost like being in a sporting competition, right? Where you want to be the best of the best. You want to compete. You want to compare yourself to other people. Let's say you want to be a world-class swimmer. You want to beat Michael Phelps, okay? Well, you're going to have a competitor's attitude in order to get to where you're trying to get to. But that also includes a middle-class mentality. It does. It's still a scarcity mentality because you're looking at all of your people that you would be essentially competing with as competitors. They're all competitors to you. Is there a way to look at it with a millionaire's mindset? Is there a way to look at it with an abundance mentality? I think there is. Even in the world of sports, I think there's a way to look at competition from a different lens. Why don't we use the lens of collaboration, shall we? What does collaboration do for us? Well, if you're an abundance thinker, it emphasizes collaboration and cooperation rather than competition. Cooperation and collaboration. Interesting. Wait a minute. Growing up, you've heard of McDonald's, right? And you've heard of Burger King, right? And you would agree that those two fast food restaurants are in competition with each other. They are in competition. They don't collaborate with each other. They don't cooperate with each other. They compete with each other. They're actually in a scarcity mentality. They are, because they're competitive nature. They don't share information with each other. But if you're an abundance mentality thinker, you believe that by working together, everyone can achieve greater success. So think about it. Let's go back to my Michael Phelps reference. You want to be a world-class swimmer. How do you get there? Well, one way to do it is to take on a collaboration approach, take on that abundance mentality approach, and look at the fact that you're getting coaching, so you're learning from somebody who's been there, done that. They may have actually competed with Michael Phelps, depending on who's coaching you, right? Okay, here's the other thing. You can learn from your fellow swimmers. Even though you might get into a pool and you might compete with them in a match, it doesn't mean you can't learn from them. It doesn't mean you can't ask them, hey, I noticed you shaved like 2 seconds off your 500 freestyle time. How did you do that? And they would share that information with you. Maybe they're part of a team. Maybe because you're a part of a team, you've developed an abundance mentality concept. You're moving away from that scarcity mentality and you're moving towards the abundance mentality. What about the concept of fear and anxiety? Well, I think the concept of fear and anxiety lives primarily within the scarcity mentality. What am I getting at? Well, the scarcity mindset is associated with anxiety and fear about not having enough, or missing out on opportunities, or falling behind others, not keeping up. You know what I mean? You know where I'm going with that? So how do you contrast that? How do you contrast fear and anxiety? Well, you have to look at it with gratitude and positivity. Those are the countermeasures. Did you know that? Those are totally the countermeasures. And when you have the abundance mindset, it fosters gratitude for what one has, and it gives you a positive outlook on the future. It promotes a sense of abundance in all aspects of your life. Man, that is a totally different place to be. That's a totally different place to put your mind than in the concept of fear and anxiety. If you're living your life as fear and anxiety, you got to change it, man. You got to change it. I'm telling you, that is not the way to live. The way to live is being grateful and being positive. If you're grateful and positive about everything in your life, you're actually demonstrating the abundance mentality. Did you know that? All right, the last thing I've got for you is I've got some examples, okay? And just in case all of this stuff just kind of like went over your head, or you weren't paying attention, or you're playing the Monopoly game on your phone, you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, let me give you some examples about individuals that have a scarcity mentality. They may hesitate to share knowledge or collaborate with others as they fear losing their competitive edge. But the abundance mentality people, they don't care about any of that stuff. None of it all. As a matter of fact, when we come back from the break, I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of the abundance mentality. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
I created these case studies 30 years ago for this reason. You're the accountant. You're the CPA. You're the engineer, the IT guy. Do you follow what I'm saying? You're that little quiet cubicle guy. And you don't see yourself as a rich millionaire. So I have to bring the cubicle people up here. And you go, honey, look, he's got the same shoes I have on, right? And he speaks in the same language that I speak in. And you've got to be able to see somebody you can relate to or relate with for this to work. Part of the reason I want you to speak to other people is because half of your, I'd say, challenge is that you don't believe you can be rich. Is that you don't believe you can retire within 5 years. Until you can reconcile that in your mind, you won't be willing to take the steps necessary to get there.
Join us today. Check for in-person and online dates at lukstudy.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And on today's show, we're trying to get rid of the concept of having a mindset that is scarcity focused. In other words, you just don't think there's enough to go around for everybody. There's a finite amount of everything. Everything has a shelf life. Everything lasts only a certain amount of time. Once you start consuming something, you're going to use it all up and it'll be done and gone, and that'll be it. That's the scarcity mentality. By the way, that scarcity mentality is tied in with the middle class mindset. The things that the people that have given you the middle class mindset have done to you is they've imprinted this messaging into your mind so you believe the scarcity mentality. Here's where we're going. We're going to dump that. We're just going to do a mental dump on the scarcity mentality. I want you to get rid of it. Yeah, I want you to start focusing on a millionaire's mentality, not a middle class mentality, but a millionaire's mentality. Millionaires don't think of things from a scarcity mentality. They don't. They think of things from an abundance mentality. So what am I getting at? Well, people with an abundance mentality are more likely to support and uplift others. They recognize that there is enough success to go around for everybody. They embrace new opportunities. They take calculated risks, and they learn from failures as valuable lessons for growth. And here's the other thing. They don't have a problem communicating any of that with anyone else that has an abundance mentality because they believe in the concept of collaboration. They believe in the concept of sharing. It is a completely different outlook. So, still stuck on what the difference is? All right. Why don't we take a look at the scarcity mentality as compared to the abundance mentality from a financial perspective? Is that cool? All right, let's try that. A person with a scarcity mentality may constantly worry about money, fearing that they'll have not enough, and therefore they wind up hoarding it. Do you hoard money? Are you a money hoarder? Don't answer that. Don't answer it out loud. The other people on the radio might hear. Now, in contrast, someone with an abundance mentality believes in the possibility of creating wealth and is willing to invest, share, and use their resources to create even more abundance. That's what I do. That's what I do as a real estate investor. Exactly what I just told you is exactly how I approach my financial perspective. I approach it with an abundance mentality. I believe that there is a great deal waiting for me. The only thing keeping me from getting to that great deal is my lack of action. Yeah, it's a lack of action on my part. I didn't do anything to cause me to get to that next deal, so not a problem. I missed that great next deal. When's the next great deal come along? Well, my mindset tells me the next great deal comes along at least once a week. At least once a week. And probably every day the next great deal shows up in my inbox. I mean, I am not at a loss for the amount of deals that I can analyze. I'm here to tell you, I'm looking at my inbox right now, and I have a plethora of multifamily offerings and single family offerings that I can look at. All I have to decide is which ones do I want to buy? And then when I make that decision, I just go through the abundance of available offerings, I screen them, and I come up with a short list. And then I analyze the short list a little bit deeper. I do some financial analysis on it, and then I come up with the one that I want. It doesn't take a lot of time. And if, by chance that particular property, somebody else has bought it, not a problem. I'll just move on to the next one. It's that simple. What about relationships? Did you know that someone with a scarcity mentality may exhibit possessiveness, jealousy, fear of losing their partner's love or their attention? Yeah. And that's bad stuff, isn't it? That's very bad stuff. On the other hand, a person with the abundance mentality trusts in the abundance of love and fosters an open, supportive, and giving relationship. Yeah. Now, I'm here to tell you, I'm going to pick on me right now. I'm not going to pick on you. I'm going to pick on me. In my relationship with my wife, Tina, I have exhibited the scarcity mentality and I have exhibited the abundance mentality. I will tell you this. I am currently in the abundance mentality area, and my marriage is outstanding. I am not bragging. I'm just telling you that my marriage is outstanding. I have an abundance of love. I have an open, supportive, and giving relationship. My wife loves me to no ends of the earth. I love her to the same distance. I don't even know if that was the correct way to say it, but I think you know what I'm saying. My wife is the most important person on this planet to me. Even more important than my two beautiful children. Yes, even more important, just a little tiny bit. But that's the importance of having that abundance mentality. Do you see it? How about the concept of professional success? Yeah, did you know there's a difference between having a scarcity mentality there and having an abundance mentality? If you're a professional that has a scarcity mentality, you might view your colleagues as threats. Oh yeah, that guy's going to get the job. And maybe you'll withhold information or opportunities for personal gain. Yeah, isn't that kind of what goes on in corporate America? All the long knives come out, people start backstabbing each other, everybody's trying to fight for the next promotion, everybody's trying to fight for the next 4% raise, right? All that stuff's going on in there. Well, that's a scarcity mentality when that occurs. It's a scarcity mentality. It's the concept that there's not enough to go around. And corporate America does a very good job of sending that message, there's not enough to go around. Because you've heard many people come onto my show that have talked about their experiences in corporate America, that have talked about being peak performers, like the top person in the organization, and they go in for their bonus and they get a 2% bonus. Yeah, even though they worked extra weekends, even though they worked extra hours during the week, even though they gave all, they got 2%. That's all the company thought they were worth. And then the company likes to push it down as, well, that's all we got, man. That's all that's there. But then if you dig into the 10K, yeah, if you dig in the 10K of that company, you find out that the resources are a lot more available, if you will. Yeah, you got to read this stuff. I'm telling you. You don't know what a 10K is? Okay, well, a 10K is an annual report for a company that files publicly. So any publicly traded company, they have to file an annual 10K, and they have to file quarterly a 10Q. And that gives you all the financial information about the company. And if you didn't know that and you're invested in stocks, wow, you're definitely displaying a scarcity mentality. Now, if you've listened to the show, you've gotten a ton of education, okay? But at Lifestyles Unlimited, when you become a member, we lay out all that education for you in a nice sequential map. It's a roadmap to your financial success. I don't care if you want to become a multifamily investor. I don't care if you want to become a single family investor. Whatever works for you is what I want to see you doing. But I want to see you get educated on how to do it correctly. And then once you've got the education, once you have the knowledge, then we start building our team. This is the abundance mentality in action. Now, some of you are saying, well, Al, I mean, isn't it kind of hard to find those properties? And the short answer is, it depends. If you are not aggressively looking for assets, you won't find them. It means having relationships with people that are out there trading properties. In other words, real estate brokers. Let me tell you about the brokers that are on my team. The brokers that are on my team have an understanding of what I am looking for assets, whether it's the single family or the multifamily space. And here's the thing, just because a property comes into me doesn't mean that property is going to pass my screening criteria. It may totally fail my screening criteria. There's one that came in this morning I was looking at, and it looked like kind of a nice deal, but here's where it blew my screening criteria. The equity capture in the deal was like $3,500. That to me is a retail deal. I am not looking for a retail deal. I'm looking for a wholesale deal. I just passed on that one. No problem. Guess what happened? I just looked at my inbox right now. Rachel just sent me a deal. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath property in Whites Creek, Tennessee, built in 1985. It's about almost 1,500 square feet. This is like the perfect model house for what I like to buy. It passes my screening criteria. It says that if I invest $29,000, I stand to capture $39,000 in equity. That's more than doubling my equity going into the deal. That's like taking your money and putting Miracle-Gro on it and making it grow. Yeah, this property passes my screening criteria. Now, I will tell you right now, I'm probably not going to buy this deal because I'm looking to buy multifamily assets. Remember, I told you my son came back? We're spending time getting brushed up on all of our education. Yeah, John has been out of the loop for about a year and a half. He's been focused on everything Army. Now I've got to get him focused on everything Lifestyles Unlimited. We're already looking at different multifamily properties. We're already analyzing different properties. We're looking at different marketplaces. We are finding there's an abundance of assets out there for us to buy. Now, not every asset that we look at is going to pencil out, which is not a problem. We firmly believe in the fact that you got to go through a certain number of bad choices and eliminate them before you get to the good choice. It's just the mechanics of how numbers work. Did you know that? Yeah. And guess what I'm sharing with you? My abundance mentality. I don't care that if I underwrite a multifamily property after this radio show that it doesn't work out, because that's not the end of the world for me. That's not the end of the world. As a matter of fact, here, let me just tell you what I'm going to do after this radio show. There's 5 multifamily properties that has come into my inbox. Jonathan and I are going to sit down after the radio show. We're going to go through all 5 of those properties, and we're going to use them as learning models. We probably won't be buying any of these because we're scaling up some of our other elements of our business right now. But what we are in is education mode. And because there's an abundance of properties available for us to underwrite and to analyze, it's not a problem. Our educational journey will continue on track. And part of I'll use re-education. I hate that term re-education. I think the best term I should have used is the concept of enhancing the knowledge we already have, because that's what we're doing. We're going back and we're enhancing the knowledge. It's kind of like reading through the Bible. When you read through it the first time, there's a lot there. And then when you read through it the second time, you start picking up other things that you may have missed. And when you read through it the third time, same thing happens to you. Same thing with the education at Lifestyles Unlimited. As a matter of fact, we want you to go through the education as often as you seem appropriate. When you become a new member, the first thing that you do is you go through the Financial Freedom Seminar. That's 16 hours of everything you need to know to be a successful real estate investor. And here's the thing. There's an abundance of that course available to you, either live or through the internet in a web-based interactive forum. And the key concept there is we want you to have access to the education because we want you to learn from the education, because the education is the most important fundamental piece of everything we do at Lifestyles Unlimited. Everything that we do is based in the education. And you will find in the education, as you go through the education, your mind is going to slowly transition. It's going to move away from that concept where there's a scarcity of everything. There's a massive scarcity. And it's going to put you into that concept where you have an abundance of opportunity. That's what we're talking about, is the abundance of opportunity. So think about it. Think about it. What do you see on the horizon for your real estate investing career? Do you see somebody who's going to be successful, who has a big portfolio of well-orchestrated assets in that portfolio? Or do you see somebody who's struggling to find the next deal? Or they settled for a deal that wasn't quite a deal that they wanted to take, but they took that deal because they couldn't seem to find another deal. And because they took that deal's not working out so well for them. And they're not achieving the lifestyle that they're trying to achieve. Yeah, that's why you've got to get away from that scarcity mindset. That's why you have to have an abundance mindset. And if you want to do what I'm doing, what the 50,000 members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for a free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the host, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.